everyone, welcome back to the garden. I'm Lynn, an avid plants lover and also a gardening nerd of sorts. And so for the past 3 weeks or so, if you've been following this channel, I've been making a mad dash trying to get the plants into the ground, primarily because I want to get them nestled in before the summer heat hits. And May is our rainiest season here in Central Texas, followed by October, June. However, April was pretty rainy for us here too. And for those of you who it's been pretty dry, I hope you get rain soon. We actually received 3 times the amount of rain that we usually get in April. But we're not going to deceive ourselves. We know that July and August is just around the corner, and that's when our plants are going to need us the most. So many of us have filled our gardens with these drought-tolerant plants, but aren't seeing the major reduction in water use and also our bills. So today I'm going to go over 10 tips and one hack that will help you reduce your water use and also lower those bills. So if you are interested in reducing water costs and lowering the bills, stay tuned. We'll get right into this. Number one is make sure that you put like plants on the same automatic irrigation zone or station. So if you notice, we have trees back there, trees and large shrubs. They are all on the same irrigation zone or station. And then the roses in the middle, they're on the same irrigation zone and station. And then if you look through the middle and the front, so kind of the middle moving to the left, so the front, this area is filled with a lot of drought tolerant plants. And so there is an irrigation zone. I don't know if you can see down at the bottom, I have 2 zones running parallel. And so roses, for example, they get watered via one of these lines, so one of these zones, because they typically, if anything's going to get more water, it's going to be the roses. And then the more drought tolerant plants are out front. The reason why this is important, y'all, is grouping plants with similar water needs on the same irrigation zones is going to prevent overwatering low water plants or underwatering high water plants. I've seen irrigation designs where trees, shrubs, high water users, drought tolerant plants, they're all in the same watering zone and they're all getting water for the same duration, the same frequency, and all of that. And like I said, you're going to overwater something, you're going to underwater something, and that's going to lead to plant stress, and your plants won't be as healthy as they should be. So number one is put like plants on the same zone. So number two is put specific emitters on plants instead of just running drip. The specific emitters on the plants will target the root zone for the plants, which will deliver the water to the plants more effectively. A lot of the drip system, the drip comes out every 12 to 18 inches. So if you have annuals or plants that are densely spaced, then having the emitters send water out every 12 inches and in some cases every 18 inches works. Your plants aren't spaced like 2 feet apart and you're running drip line that's a foot apart, which is usually what they use is drip line with the holes where the water comes out. That is usually a foot apart. If your plants are greater than 2 feet apart, then chances are you are watering ground in front of or between those 2 plants. So if you look over here, these 2 plants are spaced at least 5 feet apart. Now this one has 2 emitters, one on each side of the root zone, and that one does too. However, if I had drip running through here, and let's say it's a foot apart, best case scenario, right in here, or even right here and right here, you're going to have close to a gallon an hour of water coming out and a gallon of water coming out. What would we be watering? We'd be watering the ground. We'd be helping weeds to germinate. And look at it this way, y'all. 2 gallons wasted. It's not for the plants because the plant's root zone is over here. And if you multiply that between every single plant that is spaced out more than 2 feet apart, this bed, this long border, is 206 feet in length. And this middle section probably has about 45 plants or so. Let's just say best case scenario, there's 10 plants in here with similar spacing. We will be wasting 2 gallons per hour between each plant. We could be wasting 20 gallons of water every single time we water using drip. That's just watering nothing in between these plants. Not only that, when you target the root zones and the water drips down slowly, it trains plants that aren't even those with long tap roots to kind of go down, which ultimately is better for the plant. It makes it more drought resistant. It resists inclement weather better when you have deeper roots. When we first put this garden in, the gardeners, when I said I wanted emitters on each plant, I did not want the drip line and ring around my trees with the drip line. I wanted specific emitters around the root zones of the plants. They looked at me like I was from Venus. I can understand that because it's so much easier just to come through here and run drip line and you're done versus having to run that line and then come back and put emitters with tubing on each plant. So I get it. So what I've done now, I just ask that they run the irrigation line and then I come back myself and then I've added all the irrigation because not only that, I know what the plants are and I know how much water they should be receiving versus, some landscapers, they're really good about knowing plants, but not all landscapers are good about knowing the plants. And like many of you, we pay for our water. There's no well on this property. Okay, so that's number two. Number two, if you can, put emitters on plants around the root zone to water the plants versus just having the drip tubing with the holes randomly spaced. Not always watering the plant, but watering. You see right here how these plants are spaced? There would be at least 1 or 2 drip holes, so close to 2 gallons of water that every time I water, it would just get wasted. You guys, putting these emitters on the plants is a way to really save money. And like I said, it's just better for the plants that way. Okay. And a bonus tip, get rid of as much lawn as feasible. I know my yard doesn't look like that, but we are working on it. It's just some of this is going to be a lot of hardscape, adding structures, and it's very costly, and that's why it's kind of coming last. But as much lawn as you can get rid of, that's going to help to decrease costs as well, because sprinklers for lawns, you'd be shocked to know how much more water they use and how much water gets evaporated in the process. And it is a major driver of water use. So if you want to decrease water use, you'll see a savings just by removing lawn. And number 3, you want to water at the right time of day. Watering plants early in the morning or sometimes late in the evening in very hot climates allows the water to soak into the soil before peak heat and sometimes winds that can cause evaporation. This is going to maximize water uptake by roots and significantly reduce overall water loss compared to if you go through and water midday. However, lawns are best watered early in the morning to avoid those fungal diseases. Number 4, proper mulching. Applying the right mulch conserves soil moisture by reducing evaporation. It's It's going to moderate soil temperature, but you want to make sure you choose the right mulch type. So organic mulches such as shredded bark, wood chips, or composted materials work well for most soils because they improve water retention and add nutrients over time as they break down. Whereas inorganic mulches like gravel, decomposed granite, or river rock are ideal for very well drained or xeric landscapes because there's minimal decomposition, excellent drainage to prevent root rot for your drought tolerant plants. Generally speaking, of a 2 to 4 inch layer of mulch kept away from plant stems, of course, and this tends to deliver the biggest water saving benefit while supporting resilient root systems. Number 5, try not to water with hoses. So don't do this. Instead, you see soaker. We're going to put it on soaker. Get it to, I'll show you here. Lock it in. So if you find that you get easily distracted, if you use a soaker setting on the nozzle, be sure to set some kind of timer. Number 6, water around the plant's root zone. So you don't want to put your emitters down here up against the branches or the stem. So here's the stem of the plant right here. This is the base. I'm watering around the root zone of the plant, not up against the stem. So you want to make sure that you water around the root zone. Okay, y'all, so here's your hack. And this is for those of you who are gardening in a hot climate, very hot climate, where you're possibly dealing with evaporation when you are watering above ground, and or if you just have a plant, maybe it's on a slope, at the top of a slope, and you really want to get the water to the root zone. So what you would do is, this is a PVC pipe. So you'd hammer it into the ground next to whatever the plant is that you want to water, at an angle down at the depth to reach the root zone. And this, of course, is the 1/4 inch irrigation tubing. This goes into the main line. This is the emitter that feeds the water. And so once this is in the ground, all you have to do is you can feed this all the way in. You can just put it halfway in. But the bottom line is it is going to send the water down to the root zone of the plant. And you don't have to deal with the evaporation, the above ground evaporation. So that's your hack. So number 7, water slowly and deeply. A lot of drought tolerant plants have deep tap roots and they kind of grow that way anyway. But for the plants that don't have that, if you water slowly and deeply, it will encourage those plants to go down for the water instead of rooting out on the surface. Okay, so number 8, you can use those watering diapers. I don't have one to show y'all, but there's diapers and donuts. I've actually only used the donuts. They look like a big inflatable donut, but they have holes on the bottom that slowly leaks water, so it works like a drip, but it is not. I'm watching a mosquito trying to land on my husband's arm. Sorry, y'all, but I have to get that because they are out over here. Okay, so that is a more efficient way of watering. Like if you have brand new shrubs or trees that you just planted, you can get the watering diaper, watering donuts, and use that instead. Number 9, monitor your soil moisture before watering. You can buy inexpensive watering meters at Home Depot, or you can stick your finger down about 2 to 4 inches to see if the soil down there is dry, not the soil on the surface. And monitoring to make sure that the plant actually needs water, especially for drought tolerant plants. It's better for the plants, they'll be healthier, and you also save water. And that's the goal, right? And number 10, pay attention to the weather patterns and adjust your watering according to the 7-day, the 10-day forecast, and even just the season. So for example, we received way more rain here this April than usual. And so the irrigation system was off. because there was no reason to water when we had received sufficient water for the plants already by Mother Nature. So be paying attention to your watering. And I use an app, and the apps are excellent because from the privacy and security and I don't know, comfort of your home, you can just press some buttons and turn your irrigation system off versus having to go in the garage to the clock or outside in the clock. You know, you may remember it at 2 o'clock in the morning and you just go in and tell the system not to water. Honestly, the HydroWise system that we have, it is set to monitor, and if there's an 85% chance or more of rain, then it's not going to run the irrigation system. Or if we receive 1.5 inches or more of rain in the past um, 3 days, it won't water as well. So those are other ways to conserve and reduce your use of water. So using a drip irrigation system, especially one with targeted emitters, in itself can reduce your water use by 30% or more. But if you utilize all these different strategies, you can and will decrease your water costs and water use significantly. Okay, that's it, y'all. Thank you so much for watching this video, coming along for this. I'm so happy that you were with me here today. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day in your garden. Bye.